Welcome to Switch. I'm Bobby.
And I'm Dustin. And together we are Bobby and Dustin.
Well, you know what? We are really excited that Switch is back into full swing now.
That's right. And we hope that you had an awesome summer, but are now ready to get back into the groove of school, and especially Switch.
Well, Dustin, why don't you tell them about what Switch is and why we call it Switch?
All right. Well, we have all heard of the word switch, but let me give you Webster's Collegiate Scholastic Smart Person's definition. To change direction or course, to turn, to shift, or to change, to exchange or replace something with another. And that is what we want to take place in your life, and we want to replace or to change, to turn from the typical teenage philosophy on life with the truth of Christ.
Now, we understand that not every person is at the same level in life. But what we want to see happen over this next school year is that you grow closer in your relationship with God. So the question is, how does that play out for you? I mean, for some of you, we know that the past summer has been a time when you just let loose and did whatever you wanted to, not worried about the direction or the quality of life. But we want you to see this year in Switch is that a switch must take place. We want you to switch from that carefree, self-focused mindset to a God-centered mindset. And in doing so, you will experience less heartache and less pain and less frustration and anger, especially with those around you. Now, that doesn't mean that life will be perfect. And in some cases, things may seem to get a little bit harder, a little tougher. But what it does mean is that you will be able to handle what comes your way as your faith continues to grow and as you lean in to God for strength and for direction.
For others of you, your relationship with God has been strengthened over the summer, and that is great. So, continue to seek God for direction, because as a Christ follower, you must experience continued growth over time, or you will become stagnant in your faith. And that continued growth is what we want to see happen.
That's right. And the way that we're going to help all of you grow is by focusing on what we believe to be the irreducible minimums, the musts, the can't do without principles, the 7 checkpoints.
See, each and every series we create here in Switch will always focus on one of the 7 checkpoints, because we believe there needs to be some key principles that are foundational to who you are and who you are becoming.
So, we want to take the next few minutes to share each of these 7 checkpoints with you.
All right, the first checkpoint is authentic faith. This checkpoint focuses on a correct understanding of faith, because you need to know that faith is having the confidence that God is who He says He is and that He will do all that He has promised to do. We see a great illustration of this in Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take. Faith is about trusting, and in the series Epic, we will see that all of our lives tell a story. But unfortunately, not all of them will be epic. And in order to live a life that tells a story that matters, we need to live our lives intentionally and with purpose. So in this series, you will discover how to have an epic story and live a life that is worth telling. You won't want to miss this series.
Now, the second checkpoint is spiritual disciplines. And in this checkpoint, we will focus on your devotional life. See, the Apostle Paul assures us that transformation begins with a renewed mind. We see this in his letter to the Jews and to the Gentiles in Rome. Listen to what Paul has to say in Romans 12:2. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. In other words, we can't copy the ways of our culture and expect Christ-like change to happen to us. It only comes through a life focused on Christ. And in the series Basic Training, we will get down to the basics of your faith and help you see that there are some simple things that you can do to see as God sees, so that you will do as God says.
The third checkpoint is moral boundaries. In this checkpoint, we will unpackage what it means to own the truth or the principle, purity paves the way to intimacy. One of the most important things you can do as a student is to establish limits in your life. Well, in this series, Guardrails, you will understand how to protect your bodies and emotions by honoring God's plan for you when it comes to sex and morality. The Apostle Paul gives us a great example of this in 1 Thessalonians 4:3-8. God's will is for you to be holy, so stay away from all sexual sin. Then each of you will control his own body and live in holiness and honor, not in lustful passion. Boundaries are important, and without them, we will do whatever makes us feel good, and oftentimes those things are destructive to us and those around us.
The fourth checkpoint is meaningful friendships. How many of you have had meaningful friends or positive relationships in your lives? Well, I'm sure you all do. And in this series, Status, we will see that our friends determine the direction and the quality of our lives. We even see this in the book of Proverbs. Look with me at Proverbs 13:20. Walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble. Now, I know that you don't often think about the long-term effects of those you allow into your lives. But it is crucial, especially when it comes to your dating relationships, because your dating relationships can get complicated, especially when you start out liking someone based on looks alone and not first getting to know them and allowing them to truly be a friend. So in this series, we will focus on how to navigate through your friendships and, more importantly, your dating relationships. We will talk about who to date, how to date, and how far is too far. So regardless of your relationship status, you don't want to miss this series.
The fifth checkpoint is wise choices. Now, I love this checkpoint the most because this checkpoint can be applied to so many aspects of your life. It can also keep you out of trouble. See, in light of your past experiences, current circumstances, future hopes, and dreams, you need to ask yourself in every situation, what is the wise thing to do? Good decision making is more than simply choosing between what is right and what is wrong. This principle focuses on the need for wisdom in decision making. See what the Apostle Paul wrote in Ephesians 5:15-17. So be careful how you live. Do not live like fools, but like those who are wise. Make the most of every opportunity in these evil days. Do not act thoughtlessly, but understand what the Lord wants you to do. In the series, I Wish, we will unpackage what it means to make the wise choice and how that affects your life.
The sixth checkpoint is ultimate authority. Now, this checkpoint can be most challenging for many of us. And I'm sure you're thinking, how? Well, if any of you are like me, we don't like people telling us what to do. We like to be in control of our decision making and steps in life. Well, under ultimate authority, that kind of thinking's got to be thrown out with the bathwater. Listen to what Paul is telling us in Romans 13:1-2. Listen to what he's telling us to do when it comes to authority. Everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, he who rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. Now, I'm sure that you may be saying to yourself, how in the world did God appoint these school board leaders or these teachers or people like that in our lives? Listen, part of this principle of ultimate authority is understanding your need to be obedient, to be humble, and put your own selfish desires to the side and to simply follow. This is what God wants you to do. He wants you to follow Him. And in this series, you will discover that maximum freedom is found under God's authority.
The last checkpoint we will look at this year is others first. Now, others first is oftentimes a difficult principle to follow. You know as well as I do that we all like to have our way. We all like to be first. I mean, ever since you were little, you were told to be the best. Be the best at any cost. And we see that in Little League baseball, football, basketball, cheerleading, volleyball, you name it, we see it. And it's all about winning and beating the other team. Well, with the others first checkpoint, you will see that it's not all about you. You will see that serving others is a better choice than serving yourself. Albert Einstein once said, the high destiny of the individual is to serve rather than to rule. Wow, that flies in the face of conventional thinking, right? Yes, it does. And because this is so important, we have created the series, What You See is What You Get. And in this series, you will discover that serving others or putting others first is a whole lot more rewarding than only thinking of yourself. Listen to the key passage for this series. It is found in Philippians 2, 3-8. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should not only look to your own interest, but also to the interest of others. Your attitude should be that same of Christ Jesus, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself and became obedient to death, even death on a cross. Wow. Can you believe that? Jesus Christ, the Son of God, considered himself to be a servant, being nothing, so that he could serve and become a sacrifice for us all. Will you do that same thing? Will you put others first?
So, we are really excited about this upcoming school year, the opportunity to see life change happen, to see you grow closer in your relationship with God. And the best way that we can help you make this happen in your life is providing you the opportunity to be in relationships with those who can help you take the next steps. In Switch, the way that happens is within your small group. See, here at Switch, we do things a little different. We put all of our effort in providing you an opportunity to express your faith, to talk about things that are going on in your life, to openly talk with a person who is a champion for Christ in your life. Your small group leader, that's the person. So right now, we would like to introduce to you your Switch small group leaders for the 2013-2014 school year.